Welcome back. I'm David Gura, highlighting another contradiction in the Russia investigation. The president's personal lawyer now claiming his client never asked James Comey to go easy on his now former national security advisor, Michael Flynn. A reminder, that is not what the former FBI director said when he testified before lawmakers. All the while, the back and forth continues between President Trump's lawyers and the special counsel's office, at least according to the president's lawyers. Here's Rudy Guliani today claiming that Robert Mueller said the investigation would be wrapped up before the midterm elections.
September 1st was the date that Bob Mueller gave me back 2 months ago, where he said, when we were talking about getting his report done, he threw out the date September 1 as being a reasonable date to get it done.
Joining me now is attorney Katie Phang, along with Paul Butler. He's a former federal prosecutor, and he and Katie both are MSNBC contributors. Paul, let me start with that last bit of tape there. We have heard a lot from the president's lawyers about how this process is unfolding. Special counsel hasn't been saying much, if anything, about this back and forth. But for 8 months, we've had Rudy Guliani hammering this point, that they're going back and forth in letters trying to find out what the contours of this interview would look like. What do you make of where we are, and in particular what Rudy Giuliani said today about this deadline that Robert Mueller purportedly told him about?
Rudy Giuliani is a confused and ill-prepared lawyer who has a client, President Trump, who appears to lie to his lawyer as much as he does the American people. The Mueller investigation will not end September 1st. We know that in part because they've subpoenaed a witness to the grand jury who's going to appear on September 7th. And so I think we can expect that this investigation will go on for quite some time, in part because of the Justice Department's 60-day policy, which means that they don't bring indictments within 60 days of an election. Midterm elections coming up in November. Reading the tea leaves, this investigation is going to go past that date.
Katie Phang, pick up on that if you would. There's the contradiction that we see week after week after week about where things stand and what those conversations are like with the special counsel. There's the other one that I brought up in that intro as well. What we heard from Rudy Giuliani today about what happened when the president met with James Comey. James Comey has maintained all along in that testimony, in the book that he wrote as well, that the president explicitly asked him to go easy on Michael Flynn. What do you make of this about face here from Rudy Giuliani, Katie? Have a little trouble
kind of credibility tour. So it depends on the day of the week. What is Giuliani saying? So Giuliani is now saying that conversation never happened, but just a couple of months ago, Giuliani said that the actual words that Trump used to Comey was, "Can you give a man a break?" And so really it focuses on what Giuliani just said today, which is in order for Trump to commit obstruction of justice, he has to take, quote, extreme action. And he gave an example, which I don't think Paul nor I learned in law school, which is Trump would have to put a gun to someone's head to obstruct justice. Well, we both know that legal concepts don't support that idea. And so Giuliani, once again, has flipped the side, has now decided that the position they're going to take is obstruction of justice hasn't occurred because Trump never said that directive or that order to James Comey. But who could answer that question best? Well, David, that would be Donald Trump himself. And whether he actually sits down may be left up to whether or not Mueller subpoenas him to appear in front of the grand jury.
You know, David, it's funny that Giuliani is saying the same thing now about obstruction of justice that he was saying about collusion. That first of all, it's not a crime, and second of all, if Trump did it, then it's legal. So again, which one is it? You can't have it both ways. You can't say something isn't a crime, and then and that you didn't do it.
Paul, what has happened to Rudy Giuliani? This is a guy who was the U.S. attorney in the Southern District, the most prominent, important U.S. attorney's job in the country, many would say. He goes on to be a high-ranking official in the Justice Department. He's now fighting this in the court of public opinion. You talked just a moment ago about this disconnect between the lawyer and his client. We saw Rudy Giuliani on Jay Sekulo's radio show this week. You saw he and Jay Sekulo hosting Sean Hannity's radio show at the end of the week. What happened to this guy who was held up, in a way, as a great lawyer for a large part of his career?
So a couple of things. First, on this day when we're remembering what happened in Charlottesville a year ago, we have Nazis literally marching in front of the White House. It's also important to remember that Rudy Giuliani to the Black and Latino residents of New York City has never been a hero. He's always been violent. He supported violence by the police against communities of color, and he's never been in favor of civil liberties and civil rights other than for rich white men. So it's not a surprise. The whole country's learning, again, what people of color have known for a long time. But with regard to the president, he's a hype man. He's a TV lawyer. He's playing to that constituency, not a court of law, and he's making some inroads. So, you know, to give him his props, he understands that President Trump will not be indicted in a criminal court. Mueller will deliver a report to the Congress, and then it will be up to the Congress to act. And what we're hearing from many congressmen is they don't care if the president colluded or obstructed justice. Their most important concern is keeping him in office, no matter what.
Paul, nice to see you. Thank you very much. Paul Butler joining me here in New York. Katie, thanks to you as well. Katie Phang, our MSNBC legal analysts both. A live look here at Washington and at Freedom Plaza.